Hello, welcome. My name is Shannon. My pronouns are they, them. So we'll start with a bit of grounding or centering, and then we'll come into our stretching and movement. So we're going to start today on the mat. If we're comfortable on the mat, we can also, of course, be in a chair if that's more comfortable for us. And we'll find a comfortable position. I'm going to start seated. If you'd rather be reclined, you can go ahead and recline, maybe with a pillow, bolster, blanket beneath your knees. Or you can place the feet on the floor with the knees raised. So whatever position we're in right now, we might take a few moments to kind of notice our surroundings. And we might start to close the eyes if that's helpful for us, or of course we can have a soft gaze. We can come to our breath. We might take a few deep breaths, maybe in through the nose, out through the mouth if that's helpful. If it's not helpful, we can breathe however it is. And maybe on our exhale, we release with a sigh or vocalization. We might notice the areas of the body that feel particularly tight or tense today. And we might start to release through those areas, maybe letting the shoulders fall away from the ears. Noticing if we're clenching the jaw. If so, maybe finding a bit of space between the biting surfaces of the mouth. Maybe letting the tongue fall from the roof of the mouth. We also might note if we're kind of actively holding ourselves up or together in any way. So again, maybe releasing the shoulders, releasing the arms, noticing if we're holding in the belly, noticing if we're kind of tightening through the legs. Instead, maybe seeing if we can release and relax against the chair, against the mat, against the floor, against the earth itself, no matter how far beneath us it is today. Noticing that unconditional support that it provides and allowing ourselves to rest against that. Letting ourselves be heavy, letting ourselves be soft. And then we might come back to the breath, noticing each inhale and exhale. Breathing in whatever way feels comfortable for us. We might take a moment to notice if we have any vivid sensations in the body. So if there's anywhere that's particularly sore or tight, we might make note of those areas. Or we might make note if there's anywhere that feels like it needs to move or stretch, so that we can be as kind to ourselves as possible. And when we're ready, we might start to slowly bring a bit of movement into the fingers, the toes, the head and neck. Anything that feels good here. If we like, and we're reclined, we might gently begin to roll onto the right or left side. Slowly begin to press ourselves up. We can blink the eyes open if we haven't already. And we'll find a comfortable seated position. So we can sit either with our feet together, knees out in Baddha Konasana. This gives me lots of space for the belly. We can come into a wide-legged position. We can sit cross-legged. Anything that feels comfortable for us today. And for our movement, we're going to be doing some gentle stretching. So we're going to kind of move from the top down through the body. We're going to stay low to the mat today. Although, of course, if you want to stand or move at any point, feel free. I'm going to go ahead and start by warming up the shoulders and arms. So I'm going to bring my hands down to my sides, and on the inhale, I'm going to reach them up above. Exhale out and down. Inhale out and up. And if we like, we can add the neck in. So as we come down, we can gaze down. As we come up, we can gaze up. We're going to do 2 more of these. And we can go at whatever pace works for us. Beautiful. We'll come back down. We're going to come up one more time, and we're going to stay up. I'm going to take a moment, reach up towards the ceiling. We're going to notice if the shoulders are hunched near the ears. If they are, we might roll them down and back. Our palms might be facing each other. And if we like, we can gaze forward or up, whatever is more comfortable. We're going to hold here for a few moments, noticing where we feel engagement through the arms, through the hands. And then when we're ready, we're going to bring the palms forward, arms down near parallel with the shoulders into cactus. So we might notice where we feel engagement. It's going to be different for everyone. I feel it between the shoulder blades. I also feel it through the heart space, a kind of opening. And I definitely feel engagement in the muscles of my shoulders and arms. And then when we're ready, we'll reach the arms out into a T shape, palms down if that's comfortable. And if we need, we can take a few wiggles or flicks through the fingers. And then when we're ready, we might bring the elbows in, palms forward for low cactus. Taking a few moments here. Beautiful. We can release the hands down, shake out. So that movement is really helpful for counteracting those of us who spend at computers hunched a lot of the time. It helps pull the shoulder blades back together. So if that's helpful, it's also something that's really great to do at work or if we're sitting in our chair or at our table. And it can just help us kind of pull open a little bit more. We're going to come into the head and neck. So I'm going to bring my right ear over my right shoulder, tilting the head towards the right, letting the left shoulder be heavy. Beautiful. If we like, we can stay here, noticing the engagement through the left side of the neck, shoulder, maybe the heart space, maybe the back. If we want a little bit more sensation, we can take our left hand and reach that out to the side. So it's in a diagonal line from the top of the head down towards the ground. And we might notice a little bit of maybe tingling happening, or we might not notice anything at all. I'm going to bring the chin just slightly in towards the heart space and then flex the fingers up towards the ceiling. This might be a bit more sensation. And again, we can stay here, or if we want, we can rotate the fingers towards the space behind us. And if we notice that our shoulders kind of crept up, which it tends to do, we might let it be heavy again. Beautiful. So from here, we're going to bring the fingers up, release the flex through the wrist, bring the hand down to the side or in the lap. We can raise the right hand and assist the head back up. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So bringing the left ear over the left shoulder, letting the right shoulder be nice and heavy. Taking a few moments here. We might notice if one side feels tighter than the other, which is totally normal. We tend to be asymmetric in our mobility. Again, option to stay here, or we can bring the hand out. Maybe bring the chin slightly in towards the heart space. Reach the fingertips up towards the ceiling. And then rotate the fingers towards the space behind us. Again, letting that shoulder be heavy if it's crept up. A lot of people notice more sensation in the dominant hand. But if not, that's okay. Our bodies are our bodies. They're all unique, and that's what makes everything so cool. Alrighty, we'll bring the fingers up, release through the wrist, hand down to the side or in the lap. We'll take the opposite hand and lift up. Beautiful. We're going to come through a few shoulder rolls. So we're going to reach the shoulders up and back. We'll do 3 of these. And then we'll reverse it up the back, down the front. Beautiful. So from here, we're going to kind of bring our arms into it a bit more. We're going to reach the arms forward, placing the fingertips upward. And then we're going to bring them down. We'll bring them up and down. We're going to come through neutral, flip the palms up. We're going to bring the fingertips towards each other and away, towards each other and away. Beautiful. We'll make a fist, maybe come through a few circles in one direction, a few circles in the other direction, and then we can shake out and kind of let the arms be heavy. From here, we're going to come into a wide-legged position if that's comfortable for us. If not, we can have the legs out in front of us. We're going to start into a fold. So, a few things to note. I'm going to bring my belly in between my legs so I have lots of space around the hip joint. If we like, we can point our toes up towards the ceiling. That will bring in a little bit more engagement through the back line. And if we tend to hyperextend, we might want to make sure that we have a soft bend in the knee. Sometimes we can take a pillow or blanket, put it underneath the knee, just to make sure that we're not hyperextending through that joint. I'm going to use blocks, bringing them in front of me. But if you like, you can also walk your hands down your legs or down the floor in front of you, whatever's most comfortable. So as we come into our fold, first thing we're going to do is ground down through the sit bones, find a length up through the top of the head. We're going to begin to hinge forward at the hips. Once we do that, we'll bring our hands either to the floor, to our legs, to the blocks, and we'll slowly begin to walk the hands forward, coming into as much as a fold as feels comfortable. So there's nothing about a deep fold or a shallow fold, just whatever feels good. We'll take a few breaths here. And sometimes after a few breaths and holding the position, we might feel like, oh, I'd actually like to go a bit deeper. If that is true, go ahead, but do not feel like you have to. This is all about giving ourselves time to release and relax through the muscles of the back body. Beautiful. We'll take 2 more breaths here. Beautiful. We'll slowly start to walk the hands back towards the body. Press upward. And then I am going to bring my legs maybe a little bit closer together, but you can leave them farther out if that's helpful. We're going to come through some ankle rolls. So we can do both together or one side at a time. And it doesn't matter what direction we move in first because we're going to do both ways. So pick whatever direction feels comfortable. And we'll rotate the ankles. We'll do about 5 or 6 rotations, and then we'll flip in the opposite direction. Beautiful. We'll point the toes away from us, curling the toes under. And then we'll pull the toes upward towards the ceiling, pointing them back towards us. Beautiful. We can take a moment and release there. We're going to bring the feet together if that's comfortable. So they can be touching, or you can have a nice wide gap in between them. If you like to have that feeling of connection, you can use a block between the feet as well. And we're going to ground down through the sit bones, through the backs of the leg, anywhere that's making contact. And then we're going to reach up through the top of the spine. Taking a few deep breaths. We're going to come through a spinal twist. So we'll take our right hand and bring it behind the right bum. So we can either place it directly on the ground, or if we want, we can use a block behind us. Whatever is comfortable. And then from the base of the spine, we'll begin to twist towards the right side. So we can bring our left hand across the body, or we can place it on the left thigh and kind of press away as we open the body up towards the right, all the way up through the shoulders, And if we like, we might bring the chin in the direction of the shoulder as well. We'll take about 3 breaths here. Beautiful. On our inhale, we might release the hands and gently float forward. And then we'll bring the left hand behind the bum. Right hand either across the body or against the right leg, opening up from the base of the spine towards the shoulders, towards the left side. Beautiful. When we're ready, releasing the arms and gently floating forward. We're going to come through a lateral side stretch, and then we'll come down into our meditation. So if we like, we can have our legs in any position that's comfortable. I'm going to go wide-legged right now. I'm going to bring a block to either side if I'd like, or I can place the hand directly against the mat, whatever's comfortable. I like the block because then I can come down to my forearm, but it's completely up to you. So I'm going to plant the right hand down, lift the left arm out and up towards the ceiling. If I like, I can stay here reaching upward, or I can bring that right hand towards, or sorry, that left hand towards the right side of the body. A few deep breaths here. Beautiful. When I'm ready, on my exhale, I'm going to release that hand down in front of me, kind of sweep it over back towards the left side. And we're going to do the same thing with the opposite hand. So right arm out and up, reaching towards the ceiling. And then if we like, bringing over towards the left side of the body. We might notice the difference between the two sides or any dominant sensation. And then when we're ready, we can bring the hand down in front of us, sweeping back towards center. Beautiful. So from here, we're going to bring ourselves into any position that feels good for our meditation. Today we have a meditation that's about grounding in purpose. So if we like, we can be reclined with a pillow or blanket beneath the knees. Or if we'd rather, we can be seated in a comfortable position. I'm going to stay seated so it's easier for y'all to hear me. I'm also going to maybe bring my bolster behind my back so I feel that connection. Sometimes that's helpful for staying upright if you're like me and have a tendency to hunch forward. So once we find our comfortable position, we'll again maybe notice the space around us. Notice if there are any new sounds. We might slowly start to close the eyes or find a soft gaze. Might take a few deep breaths. Again, maybe in through the nose, out through the mouth if that's helpful. Releasing with a sigh or vocalization. And when we've taken as many of those breaths as we need, we can find our natural breath, whatever that looks like for us. We'll revisit our grounding, in that we'll notice the connection of ourselves to the mat, to the props, to the floor, all the way down to the earth beneath us. Noticing that unconditional support and letting ourselves rest against it. No matter how far apart we are today, we are all resting upon the same earth. Just as we rest upon the same earth as our friends, our family, our chosen family, our teachers, our guides. This connection to the earth is more through just distance, but is also through time. We rest upon the same earth as our ancestors, as the original stewards of the land. We rest upon the same earth as the founders of our cultural and spiritual practices. We rest upon the same earth as our thought leaders, as those who have fought for our rights, for equity, and for bodily autonomy. This connection through the earth represents more than just a passing connection to space. It represents our foundations, our physical foundation, our bedrock, but also our foundations for our beliefs, our foundations for our morality, for our ethics. Some of the things that we've inherited are things we'd like to let go of, and we always have permission to do that. But some of them are foundations on which we can build, on which we can grow. And during times when things seem uncertain and unsure, on which we can rest, gather our thoughts, gather our energy. And these foundations will grow as we begin to work towards the future of those who come after us. As we fight for a better world, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. This can be a space of hope, a space for community, care, for mutual aid. And it begins with rest. We'll take a moment here in this space to rest for what comes next, and to rest for ourselves when we need it. When we're ready, we'll slowly begin to come back to the breath, noticing our inhale and exhale. Taking a moment to remember that we are never without our foundation. Although there are times where we will feel unstable and unsure, we can reconnect to our purpose by reconnecting downward, by noticing the support of the earth beneath us and the support of the foundation that we've built for ourselves. If we like, we can start to introduce movement into the body, maybe through the fingers, the toes, the head and neck. We can take any movement here that feels good. We might slowly begin to roll onto the right or left side. Then maybe slowly press upward into a seated position. From wherever we are, we'll take 3 breaths together in a way that feels good for us. We might bring the hands to heart center or place them anywhere against the body that feels good. We'll take a moment to thank ourselves for this opportunity for rest and this opportunity for movement. And I'd like to thank you so much for sharing your practice.